Atkins and pals, and there's also therapy too.
Hi, everybody. Welcome on in to Park Pals. Thank you so much for your patience. We took a little bit of a break, and now we're back, and we're back with an amazing interview. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we got Brady Smith, aka Grant Larson, who brought back Power Rangers. We'll talk about that in this episode. We talk about how he is an amazing graphic artist. He writes graphic novels, like children's books, where he writes and draws all of them too, which is amazing. We talk about so much BTS, and I have to be honest, just a heads up that there was a tiny bit of a delay. I think it was probably my internet. I don't know. But so it sounds like I'm interrupting him. I think it sounds like I'm interrupting him, and I just apologize for that. But once he starts talking and I talk over him, I let him go and, come back to what he was saying. But I want to say sorry if he noticed that / thought I was interrupting him, or if you guys think I'm interrupting him, because I really didn't mean to. And, it's probably just my own insecurity being annoyed with myself. But oh my gosh, Brady Smith is so, so nice. Please check out his books, watch all of the shows that he's been in, and have fun with me just telling him all the things he's done that he does not remember being in. But since I do all the research and stalked him, I know, but he doesn't even remember, which is so funny. And then talking about Mrs. Obama. Oh my God. Okay. Let's just get to the interview. Thank you again so much, Brady. And you guys have a good week, and keep on hanging on, you guys. We're in it together, hopefully. Okay. Enjoy. So it's all good. Yay.
Sweet. Happy Friday.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all of the, rescheduling and all of these things. I appreciate it so much.
My pleasure. Absolutely. And I'm in my little studio.
You're in a little studio too?
Well, so this is where I do my art and painting and all the stuff. So it's a part of our house. But, we have 2 kids, 4 dogs, and 12 chickens. So it's quieter here than up there.
Oh my God, so fun.
Yeah.
What so you do painting too? Oh my gosh, tell me all about that. Is that just like a hobby that you have, or do you really love it, or what's going on with that?
Well, no, I mean I got my degree in fine art. So that's what I studied in college, and I've always illustrated and painted. I have a website with all my paintings. I had a solo art show last December here in LA, and 3 weeks ago, my 8th book came out. I do children's books and young reader graphic novels. So, yeah.
That is so fun. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to look that up.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Oh my God, so fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started talking about Parks and Rec, because we have a lot to cover, sir. There's a lot going on, and you are a part of such a crazy cultural moment. Well, especially with this season. I mean, this season you come in because there's this big shift that Leslie has, moving to Chicago, or staying in Indiana and all these things. And so I'm curious, how did you get your job on Parks? How was the audition? Tell me about it.
It was a typical audition. It was obviously it was way before COVID, where now a majority, if not all, auditions are done on Zoom, or you tape it and then send it in. This was actually an in-person audition, like it should be. I miss them, the actual human interaction. But yeah, went and auditioned, and then just tried to forget about it. And 2 weeks later, got the call that it was going to happen, and it was that easy. I mean, not easy, but that it went that seamlessly. That might be a better way to do it. When you're an actor and you're auditioning, I mean, you're that's the job, is the audition.
Right.
I think Tom Hanks said the job is the audition and the vacation is the work, and that's definitely how I felt on Parks and Rec. It was just a hoot the whole time. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that is very true. Yes, I don't think a lot of people understand that so much of acting is the unemployed audition process, the unpaid, I guess, audition process.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh, do you remember if there like what sides you were given at the time at all, or like
Oh
was
my
it
goodness,
from that
no.
first episode? I'm
It was
guessing.
from the first episode. Yeah, it was from the first episode. And then, the fun part about each show that you do is different. And what I remember and love the most about working on Parks and Rec is that, if I remember correctly, granted it was a long time ago and a lot of life has happened in between, but from what I remember is we stuck to the written dialogue. We did that for a take. And then whoever was directing that particular episode, they were just like, all right, have fun, go for it. And you would just kind of ad lib. And, that's a very freeing feeling when you're an actor. It's just a lot of fun. So a lot of the stuff that we did was improv.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you got a chance to improv with Amy and the team as well. So, and I mean, speaking of the
Yeah, I
directors, it was
definitely.
like you've got Dean Holland, you've got Mike Schur, you've got Sam Means. Those are
Mhm.
all your episodes. Like, talk about heavy hitters and like talk about improv also, and the way and mockumentary style. Like, those guys are just really at the top of the pyramid. So, yeah. So, How often did you get to improv? Was it pretty much every take?
I felt like it was basically every take. I mean, once they got what they wanted, then
Mm-hmm.
you were just kind of free to go for it. The neat thing about, you said, the mockumentary style filmmaking, what I remember the first day showing up is usually there's marks, and usually where the camera are, the camera is and everything. And I don't remember feeling restrained that way. I mean, there were so many cameras that you just kind of did your thing and lived in the moment, which is always a luxury when you're acting, to
Mm-hmm.
to feel that free. And I'm just like, where are the cameras? And they were just kind of everywhere. It was nice. So you just kind of do your thing, and they get what they want. It was great.
Yeah, we've heard that from a couple people where it almost felt, and I'm sure maybe you related to this too, because you did a lot before Parks, where like they felt a little like uncomfortable at first because it's like they really are just following you around as if like
Yeah.
you're not supposed to stand on a specific spot for the lighting or whatever. I mean, you can be in the general area, but it is supposed to be very real and authentic to how an actual person would move about and the camera's being hidden. So did it feel weird to you, or was it kind of like second nature?
It did not feel weird, did not
Okay,
feel
good.
uncomfortable. I dug it. I mean, as soon as I figured out kind of what was going on, it's almost like jumping into a pool. You're just, all of a sudden you're in it, and it's time to go.
Yeah.
It's sink or swim, and that's how I felt. The first day was just kind of like, whoa, you're seeing these people that you've seen many times before, and now you're actually in a working environment with them. And that was really cool. I mean, I remember being really excited when I got the job. I mean, as an actor, you get jobs that you're really thrilled about, and then you get jobs where you're like, all right, whatever, it's a paycheck. And this was one that I was really excited about.
Yay. And was it written as a well, I guess three technically. Well, technically four, but it's three episodes that, aired back to back. The last two did anyway. So was it written as a four episode character, or were you just called back? They just called you back.
It was they shot the first episode, and then I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. Also, as an actor, you kept getting phone calls asking you to return. So that's exactly how it went. I ended up, I mean, I, like you, I say four. It was
Yeah.
it was three episodes, but the last episode was a long one, so they broke it up into two,
Right.
part one and part two. But yeah, they just kept. Can you hear my phone doing that, or are you good?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay.
What's it
Okay,
doing?
good. I keep getting it's Friday. I just keep getting texts. So
Oh.
sorry if you.
No, you're good.
I didn't want it to throw you off. But no, that was definitely it. It was the phone continued to ring, and I continued to do cartwheels. It was great.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, I always ask because there are it's actually very rare that on Parks that the guest stars are written for more than one episode. It's usually written as one, and then they just keep calling you back if they like you or if they think of something for you. But I feel like your character, I mean, the way that it's, the way that they made the arc could have absolutely been, a 4-character or for 4-episode arc. But I mean, that's a really interesting BTS, I feel, to know that it was only supposed to be one, and then they just kind of kept going with it.
Yeah, it was only supposed to be one. Yeah, it was great. I remember where I was when the phone would ring, because it'd be a number I didn't recognize, and I'm like, should I answer this? And then I'm like, oh, hey, yeah. I remember I'm blanking on who called me, but they called about the episode with Michelle Obama and
Oh my
Amy.
God.
And I remember true story, I was in our yard. We have 4 dogs. At the time we had 2. Regardless, they still pooped. I was in the yard picking up poop. And phone rang. I answered it. They're like, "Hey, Brady, just wanted to let you know we're gonna bring you back. We have an episode with Michelle Obama. Your character is going to be introducing her to Amy and da 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 da." And I remember him talking, but it just kind of like I remember it's almost like the gerbil fell off the wheel. I wasn't comprehending what he was saying necessarily. I'm thinking, oh, somebody's going to play Michelle Obama. That's fun. And then, whatever. And then he's like, so, keep this on the down low. Don't say anything. We're going to get back in touch with you. We're kind of figuring out the dates and times and blah, 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 blah. I think we're going to have to go shoot in Miami where she is, da, da, da. And then I was like, oh, great. Yeah, cool. And I hung up. I remember standing there with a bag of poop in my hand. I'm like, what just happened?
Oh my gosh, you're like in shock.
What? Yeah. And then my agent called. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, am I? And yeah, sure enough, flew to Miami. It was so much fun.
Oh
yeah, she was
gosh.
great. Michelle Obama was like, just lovely. She was wonderful.
Yes, we did a whole breakdown on her because, and that was another question about where they shot that, because they're supposed to be in San Francisco in the episode. But so it was in Miami, you said?
Yes. And I mean, again, this was a while ago. So from what I remember, Michelle was doing one of those
Let's Move.
exercise.
It was the Let's Move campaign.
The Let's Move campaign. That's exactly it. So she was in Miami at a school doing that. So then what they did is they kind of morphed the school hallway into looking like a hallway in a government building. Yeah, that was it.
That is amazing. No, go ahead. Sorry.
What I remember is driving to set with Amy and a couple other people. I want to say a producer, director. I mean, there was a few people in the van, not many. And the van pulled up to the school, and the guy, slid open the van door, and he was like, "Hey, everybody, super excited to have you. Michelle's a big fan of the show. Blah, blah, blah. Just a heads up, don't put your hands in your pockets. We have a sniper up there, and up there. Have fun." And I remember going, oh, what? Whoa, there are snipers up there. And it was like, it was the real deal. I mean, there were, it was the real deal. There was like people everywhere. It was cool.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine that. Well, and so, okay.
It was really cool, but also kind of like, whoa, this is crazy,
legitimate. This is wild. You can't believe this is your life. Yeah.
The Secret Service part, especially the Secret Service part. Like, I remember because of where we shot that in the hallway, there wasn't a whole lot of room. So I remember there were marks. And if you were off your mark just by a smidge, you were going to step on the toe of a Secret Service agent. I mean, they were right there. It was cool.
So they were like right behind the camera.
They were very, very close. I remember them being close. Yeah.
That is wild.
And they were all wonderful. They were all laid back and cool, but it was, they were there to do their job. It was awesome. It was kind of like, wow. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
remember Amy saying, or in my research, she had I think she was telling some magazine or something like this, or Michelle Obama was telling some magazine or something that she was doing that. And then Amy, I think, came out there to do the Let's Move, like to help her, or like she introduced her. She was involved in one of the events or something like this. And so that is all tracking and that all comes together now. Okay, great. And so how long were you out there? Like, did it take, like, how long did it take? Like a week? Less?
Not
However.
very long. I think a couple days. I
Okay.
want to say, I mean, again, it was a while ago. I know we flew there. It's the time difference is 3 hours, and went to dinner, went to bed, woke up, shot it, and then we might have flown back later that day. I don't remember. It was quick.
Oh my gosh.
It was a,
And in
it
that
was a
scene, it's
really
just
quick.
you, Amy, and her. So it was just you three,
Yeah,
like, hanging out in the van, right? It would have just been you and Amy, and I'm guessing maybe the director or something, but oh my God.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how was Michelle? Like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Obama, queen, woman of everything. You said she was nice, but like, how was she acting and like on her marks? I mean, I feel like she would have everything down. Tell me about it.
It was actually really funny. She was lovely, super down to earth, very, very self deprecating, and just cool. She was just cool, like
Yeah.
somebody you would want to spend time with. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't ever feel a sense of hierarchy or, any of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. She was just really, really laid back and fun. I remember we did a take, and she like crushed it, really, truly crushed it. And then we're like, all right, great, cut. And then I remember her saying some of the fact, like, was that it? Are we done? I want to do more. That was fun. And we are like, let's do more. That was fun. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I mean, were you on the
Yeah.
inside like freaking out, or because you don't seem like it. You were definitely you're cool, calm, and collected on camera.
I there were I remember I don't it wasn't necessarily freaking out, but I had a moment where I had this self-realization of like, holy cow, man, this is a unique memorable experience.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment I was like, this is something. This is something. I'm getting an opportunity to do something not only really neat, but something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do. So I was grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, in the moment, I'm just like wanting it to go well and not flub a line, and
Mm-hmm.
live truthfully in a imaginary moment and just do what I was hired to do. But it was like it again. I keep saying it was on, but that's just kind of how I felt about the whole experience of being on that show. It was just kind of like jump in and go for it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a luxury, because a lot of jobs are not like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, by this point, I feel like they were pretty much a well-oiled machine. And like you said, as long as they got what they wanted, like scripted, that what was written, it was
Mhm.
like they had time to play and mess around a little bit.
Mhm.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, at this point, were you a fan of the show before you got the
So
audition at all?
I have to be totally honest with you, and I
That's okay.
so I had never seen the show, and it wasn't because I didn't want to watch the show. I just hadn't seen the show at the
Mm-hmm.
time. My wife and I had. Um, when was this? Was this 2014? So it was like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember the date. Was it 2014?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
2014.
So
Yes.
we had a 3-year-old or 2.5-year-old,
Mm.
and that's kind of like where my headspace was. It was like baby. Um, it was both my wife and I's first kid. We have two now. So everything's a first,
Yes.
right? And that's where my headspace was. To the point of even auditioning, it's like you get the material, you do your best. I personally the way I look at auditioning is, and a lot of people do this, a lot of people don't, but the way I've always been is I go into the audition completely off book and ready to go, because I feel like that's my job, is to know the material and not read it. That's just me.
Mhm.
So I remember working on it, going to the audition, a couple, however many days go by, I get it, I'm excited, but I had never seen the show because it's like, my wife and I were exhausted. We have a young
Yeah.
kid. It's like, just retired. I never saw Breaking Bad. I still haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Oh my
So it was
gosh.
all right when we were having, when we were young parents and
Yes.
new parents. So
Yes.
the funny thing is that I very quickly became aware of the cultural phenomenon that the show is, very quickly. Like, people are, I mean, look, we're talking about it right now, and it was 12 years ago. It's
Mhm. Nuts.
bonkers. People love the show. So yeah, it's neat to be a part of. I mean, again, so many years have gone by. I've done a lot of little roles in very big movies, and then lead roles in smaller movies. So I've done a good handful of work besides Parks and Rec. But to this day, I will be getting a coffee or doing something, and they're like, Grant Larson, to the point where I don't. Oh yeah, hey, what's up, man? Like
Oh yeah, that's
people.
me.
No, but truly, I remember the first time that happened, and the episode had just aired or something. And I remember I was trying to squeeze in like lunch, and I was somewhere off like Ventura Boulevard because I had to pick my kid up from preschool or something, and I had very, very short period of time, so I'm just focused on eating as fast as I can. And somebody sat down across the table from me, and I thought it was just typical, like, hey, is this seat taken type thing, and then whatever. No, have a seat. And he was like, oh man, this is crazy. And I truly, Holly, I was like,
Like, are you talking to me?
and yeah. And he goes, dude, Grant Larson, unbelievable. It's so cool. It's just, when stuff like that happens, it's neat, but it's a little odd.
Well, there's a line.
Little
There's
odd.
a balance of like, this is really nice, but also kind of creepy.
I've never, and again, I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I personally have never been like a starstruck type dude. I realize that people are people. Some people just are in extraordinary situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people see television, and then when they are really familiar with the show, or they see the show a bunch of times, that person, that actor, that character becomes a part of their, almost like their existence, sort of, in a way. Like they're just very familiar and they feel like they know the person and whatever. And that's great. But I've just never been that dude. My wife has been an actress since she was like 8 years old. And she's also been on some shows where she, it's like a part of the culture, the pop culture. And, I see the way people, they get really excited and feel like they know her, and it's just a part of the deal. So I just think it's cool that it struck a chord, and that I got to be a part of a show that still has people talking.
Yeah. Did he leave you alone eventually, or did he stay for a while?
That guy. I mean, usually, like, I've never had somebody sit down at the table with me. That was the first, and it was the only time it ever happened. And he was fine. He was just like, whoa, it literally was like that. I think he was just, I don't know. He might have been on a few substances at the time, and he was just really excited to see somebody that he's seen. Exactly. Yeah, that was it.
Oh my gosh. I'm very starstruck person. I mean, I think this podcast is helping a lot, but this podcast also like gives me a reason to like talk to people. Whereas sometimes when I see people out on the street, I feel like I'm bothering them, but also I am so enamored by them. Like, oh my gosh, this is such a tangent, but just really briefly, do you know who the comedian Mark Maron?
Mark Maron?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched this documentary on a plane just a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh, I did that too. I saw it on a plane as well. So he was in DC a long time ago. I took my mom. She's like, she knows him, but I'm the fan, and I just wanted to bring her. And it was so funny. We were waiting outside, and I didn't really realize that comedians just come out of the front and are just like normal dudes walking around. And my mom is like, "Isn't that the guy we just saw?" And it was the most starstruck I've ever been. It was like so embarrassing. It was like frozen, because also at this time he had his podcast, so it's almost like you do have this parasocial moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I like know him, but he doesn't know me, but also he like bears his soul, so like I totally can't talk to him, because that would like he's just here for the show, and I just like get so twisted about it. But my mom was really sweet, and she like kind of pulled me over, and like we got a picture and everything, and he was so sweet, so nice, and gave me, just like you gave that guy the time of day, like that, like you said, everyone's a person at the end of the day, like
everybody's a person.
And if they're rude, I mean, that's really just showing their personality more than anything else. So it's like, yeah. And I haven't really run into people, but
that's what I was going to say. I feel like you, if somebody is rude, like we're only here once, man, there's already so much negative stuff going on. I don't want to contribute to that. And, sadly, I feel like it says a lot about that particular individual if they're not cool or kind. And I get it. Sometimes you're just like, dude, I don't, whatever. But you don't have to be rude about it. You need to be like, hey, man, appreciate you appreciating the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The starstruck sorry, something just popped up on the screen. The only time I've been starstruck was a couple years ago. We went and saw Wicked at the theater off Hollywood Boulevard. I believe so. I can't remember. My wife got the tickets and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not a Wicked kind of guy, if you haven't picked that up. I had no idea what the story was. I had zero idea what was going on. It was my wife, my daughter, my son, and I. And my son at the time was 8. And I remember when it was intermission and the curtains closed, I was like,
oh no.
And I started to get up, and my wife was like, "It's out, Leo." And I remember just going, "Oh man."
Oh, oops.
Okay. So I'm 6'4", and the seats were real little, and I'm like kind of cramped up, and I was just, whatever. So when the show ended, I was ready to go. And I remember, everybody's filing up, going up the aisle, and there was a traffic jam in our aisle. So I'm just kind of like,
okay, yeah,
let's go, And my daughter was like, Dad, that's Luke Skywalker. And I was like, what? She's like, that's Luke Skywalker. And I'm like, I'll be damn, that is Mark Hamill. Oh, wow, that is so cool. So, it was a traffic jam, but it was our only artery out of the theater. So we had to just continue trucking that direction. And when we got close to him, my daughter's like, take a picture with him. You got to take a picture with him. And also, I'm not wired to be that dude. I'm not. And I was like, no. I'm looking at it. This is neat seeing him. We're good. And my wife's like, you need to take a picture. I was like, I truly do not want you guys to ask him for a photo. He's getting hounded right now.
Yeah, with how crowded it is too.
I mean, there were 55 people around him, and then we eventually get kind of 100%. It was crazy. Now, where I'm going with this is going back to what we were talking about with the way individuals are wired. So by the time we finally got up there, it's been 8 minutes. I'm adjacent to him, and my freaking wife, whom I love more than life itself, goes, Mr. Hamill, my husband, and just called me out. And it was a weird moment because Mark Hamill recognized my wife, which was cool. Oh. And then he was like, oh, this is your husband? And I'm like, how's it going? And then my wife's like, he loves you. He's always loved you. You're Luke Skywalker. And I was like, I go, and he just kind of looked at me and I go, Mr. Hamill, I think it is incredibly cool to meet you, but I think it's even cooler that you're spending all the time with all these people, man. It just shows your true colors. And I think I just appreciate that because you're being incredibly engaging and open and kind. And he was like, well, that's the way it should be, right? And when he said it like that, I was like, that is the way it should be because, he's in a position where so many people, I mean, you talk about people that think they know him. You know what I mean? Like generations of people.
Yeah.
And he was so kind and he was taking the moment to truly address each person and give them their time where they can go back and say they talked to Mark Hamill. It was amazing. It was, I mean, it impacted me. When I left, I was like, I even brought it up to the kids. I was like, see, that's how it can be and how it should be. And it was amazing.
And how we can connect with people. And yeah, look, I don't, fault anyone for not wanting to take a picture on their off time or whatever. Like at the end of the day, I don't feel like celebrities owe us anything apart from like being an actor and providing the service that they provide. But like there are people, I feel like there are audience members who are like really rude. So in that regard, like to the celebrities, so in that regard, absolutely. I get it. But like if you're just like what you said, and my friend Chris and Logan are so good at this, where they're just, we met Ron Funches. Oh my God. Amazing. Another comedian. He was so nice. And again, it's just like saying like, I really respect your work and like leaving it at that. I think that's totally valid and acceptable. And they like to hear that.
100%. And it depends on where and when you say it.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. Like maybe not at a funeral or a graveside or something.
No. Toilet stall,
read the room.
let them be. Yeah.
Right.
Read the room. That's perfect. There's a perfect way to put it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for going on that tangent with me. Oh my God. Amazing. I was going to ask if people recognize you from it, like from Parks, because that makes the total sense that they would.
I mean, if they're a gigantic Parks and Recs fan, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Absolutely. There's another show that I did, and I only did one day on it, but it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And that also like cult following,
Totally.
and I was only there a day. I mean, one scene, and still it's like, what's up? They'll quote the line, they'll quote the monologue. I don't remember it. And people
I was
going
to say, especially that show has so many episodes and so many guest stars, like wild.
Yeah. It's this, I mean,
Amazing.
If there's a show that people absolutely love, I mean, it's like it brings them joy and it brings escapism and it takes them out of their normal daily routine. And I get it. I mean, when the storytelling, yeah, maybe so. I mean, it brings joy, right?
Yeah,
totally. Anything that can kind of brighten a mood, I'm down for.
Yeah. And did you like know anyone on Parks before you got there? I know because you've worked a lot in the industry. Did you know anybody personally? Or
I didn't know any. So my wife was on a show called White Collar, and it shot in New York. So when our daughter was 6 weeks old, we had to move to New York. And I was buddies with a guy named Dan Finnerty, who he's always recognized from Old School and The Hangover. He's the wedding singer guy that throws in all the profanity and stuff. And he's married to an actress named Kathy Najimy.
Okay.
And unbeknownst to us, when we moved to New York, we were basically one building away from each other. So Dan and I would just kind of hang out. And I remember Kathy had a New Year's Eve party. And this was probably, this was a good 2 years before I did the Parks and Rec episode. And I remember we were on the balcony of their apartment looking out on the New York City lights. It was really cool. And Liza Minnelli's there, like all these like New York people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Amy Poehler showed up, and through Kathy and Dan, and it's party. You're just talking to people. We talked for a little bit, and then again, I had a very young baby, and I promised my wife I wouldn't be gone too long, and then I went home, and I was like, that was cool. Liza Minnelli, Amy Poehler, that was a total New York experience, And then a few
Absolutely.
years later, when I got the show, I never expected Amy to remember, but I was like, hey, I actually met you a couple of years back. She was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And she, Amy's just, you talk about laid back. She's incredibly cool. And then,
my
funny
gosh.
enough, I'm not going to name where, but our kids, my daughter and her sons, are in the same school, same grade, which is just full,
Wow.
crazy. So I saw her at like a parent teacher conference. It's just crazy. It's like,
That is crazy. The universe is wild, man.
wild. It's
Oh
very
my
LA.
gosh.
It's very LA. I remember our daughter came home and she was talking about this very, 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 very big celebrity that she bumped into in the hallway. And I just, I'm from Houston, Texas, right? Like, this is very different from my high school experience. And I just remember having a moment like, what is going on? It's so crazy. It's so
Crazy.
different. But yeah, it's the,
Oh my gosh. Talk
where we
about working
are.
with Amy Poehler. Like, just tell me about working with Amy Poehler and how that experience
Amy was
went.
she's just awesome. I mean, she's, they're just incredibly, I keep saying the word cool and I sound like a broken record,
No,
but
it's
it's the perfect
accurate.
word to just, it really is. It's the perfect word to describe a majority of the people that I interacted with on that show. Chris Pratt was hilarious. Nick Offerman is wonderful and cool and open. I mean, they were all just very, very nice. But Amy, we had several scenes together and it was hard not to break character and laugh. I mean, it just would, especially when we would get the written dialogue out and then we would get to just kind of make up stuff. It was just super fun. You were talking about being nervous, and I haven't thought about this in years, but the only time I felt like fully nervous was my last episode when I confronted the entire cast about Amy coming with me, and they all kind of had their beef with that, you know. But it was the first time where I was literally, it was me against the whole cast,
Yeah.
And I had a second where I was, because the way it was shot, I'm in the elevator doors open, I walk out, and they're all like, waiting for me. And I remember looking at the doors in front of my face and just having a moment like, oh man, here we go. Not like in a negative way, but in a
No, yeah.
like, oh, here we go. Like,
It's a big deal.
and then we did the first take, and then you're good. But it's it's like the first take.
The first
It was
intimidation
actually
too,
super
them staring
fun.
you down.
Yeah, but it was only on me because they weren't giving off that vibe. It was just like,
Oh, totally.
I the way I look at guest stars, which is what I was. I guess I turned into a recurring, which is kind of neat to say, but ultimately I was a guest on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in a lot of situations, if you will, on a lot of different shows where the guest stars show up and they just kind of want to be best friends with everybody and they just want to, like, and again, I don't feel like I'm wired that way. Like I look at it like I'm a guest at somebody's house and I'm eating dinner with them. I kind of speak when spoken to, be polite, know my stuff, and then go home and have a good night, everybody. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I looked at it. Whenever I would work with them, I wanted to do a good job and be open and friendly and, you know, play ping pong and bounce stuff back and forth with the improv. And then ultimately, like, I had a great time. Thank you for having me. And adios.
Yeah.
Not like linger by the trailer and be like, hey, what's everybody doing after this? That kind of guy. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, and especially in that last scene, you're not really even saying that much. They're just kind of spewing all these things at you, which I think is really funny too, because Maddie, my co-host, and I talk about this all of the time, where you think that Leslie has gotten her binders out of the way, her questions to Grant, just done, and Grant just keeps getting slammed, and he's like, okay, more binders. Okay, I get it. And I really loved the, nonchalance and the openness you had with Leslie's character, because I think that's the way it was written, but I do wonder, do you remember if you got any direction on how to kind of interact with her relationship wise?
Not really. I'm trying to remember. I want to say that one of the directors said, great audition tape. Just keep doing what you did.
Yeah.
Which was incredibly sweet to say. However, a few weeks had gone by. I didn't remember what I did. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And then I remember oh, wow, I have no idea what I did. So I just was myself and just.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was going to ask too. If you were kind of sinking into you, Brady, as Grant, which it sounds like from talking to you, it's very, kismet, I feel. It's not too much acting you were doing.
Yeah, I could agree.
Or how did you feel? Yeah, I guess absolutely. I should ask how you feel.
No, I agree with that. I think I said it a minute ago. To me, I'm trying to figure out a way to word this where it doesn't sound all uppity and because I don't mean it that way. I mean it to be anti-uppity. The way I look at acting is that, and a lot of people might disagree, but I don't think you need to make it that hard. Ultimately, it's just you're listening and you're responding and you're living truthfully in an imaginary world. That's it. I mean, it's something that you and I are doing right now. You say words, I hear you, I have an opinion, I say something back. That's it. I'm not one of those deep method guys that I need to live. It's like, come on, man. What's that funny, that true story with Laurence Olivier with Dustin Hoffman about Marathon Man? I mean, it's a very famous story where he, I guess, overheard that. And granted, Dustin Hoffman was very young and supercharged. I mean, this is he might have been in his 30s, but he was running miles and miles and miles before work, before shooting, because he was playing a marathon runner. Mm-hmm. And Laurence Olivier heard that, and he was like, it's called acting. But again, I think every artist has their process, and totally. I think it's whatever. Look, what it boils down to is you do you, however you feel like you're accomplishing it, but be kind. That's my only thing. I can't stand when people are not. And I've done many, many shows where the stars, the series regulars, are complete tyrants. And I remember every time I get in my car and I'm driving home and I'm like, man, what a
why does that have to be that way?
Bummer. It's a bummer, they should be high-fiving every butterfly that flies in their general direction, because they're doing something that ultimately a lot of people don't get a chance to do and a lot of people want to do, and they're making their living as an artist, as an actor. And some of them make very, 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 very good living. So what's there to be bummed about,
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, that's my high horse. I'm stepping off now.
No, I do agree with that. And that, everybody can have their bad days and everything. And just because you're rich doesn't mean you can't have bad days, all that kind of stuff. But that is one of the things that Mike Schur is famously famously on our podcast, that I say all the time, that his one rule for all of his shows are no assholes. And I'm like, that's a great rule. And I think that trickles from the top down. Like Amy was fantastic, and so was Mike, and they were all just like willing to be there for just willing there for the teamwork. I mean, that's really it doesn't matter if somebody random on set had a joke. It was just like, what are we doing in service to the show, to the story, to the everything, and why can't we just like have a decent time with it too? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a bad day, and that's completely normal, but it's how you react to other people when you're having that bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like you said, the bummer part of it, it's just like, what the F, dude? Just ruin the whole day for everybody. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. No,
but yeah, that's why I love hearing about Parks and Rec. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. You know, I have to tell you, in prep for us talking, I don't know if it's the algorithm or however social media works, but I have recently been getting these Parks and Rec blooper videos, you know, on my feed.
Love.
And I've been watching them, and I'm like, golly, it's just so dang funny, man. I love it. I love it. I remember, I think like a week ago, you know, I'm just scrolling. It's before bed, whatever. You got 15 minutes, just kind of downtime, decompress. And one of the actual bloopers from that scene I was telling you about, where I was confronting the entire cast, was there, and it just brought so much back. I was like, God, it's so funny. I mean, the only time I almost broke and ruined a take because I laughed was Chris Pratt's reply, because they were asking me, you know, you work for the government, you should be able to do anything. Like, what can you do? And
yeah, because you were a Power Ranger. You look like a Power Ranger.
Chris Pratt asked if I could bring Power Rangers back, and I freaking, it took everything in my power to not guffaw. Like, just it's so funny. Oh man!
You know what? I have a funny story about that. So we just reviewed Unity Concert, your last episode. I believe it was like, we took a little bit of a break. So I think it was like about a month ago that it came out. But when we were researching that, 2017 is when they rebooted Power Rangers, and 2017 is the year that they skipped to in season 7 after your episode. And it was like this crazy universe moment. I was like, that's not real. And I was like, oh my God, Grant Larson brought back Power Rangers.
He did it.
You did it, man.
Did it. Without even realizing I did it. I totally did it. It's
so
amazing.
Crazy. So when were you in an actual elevator? Do you remember? Because you were saying the doors were in front of you.
Well, the doors were in front of me. I remember the doors opening, but it was a set. I mean, it wasn't like
It doesn't like it go down or anything. Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Again, I'm like kind of operating on memory here.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a rise or a decline. It just kind of, the doors open. But I remember they were reflective. And to add to my moment of nervousness, I'm like looking at myself, looking back at, you know what I mean? I remember they were like completely stainless steel, almost mirror reflective.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. Yeah.
That is funny. Oh my gosh. Well, and I mean, speaking of bloopers too, like that's one of, I feel, Amy Poehler's best times is the Michelle Obama moment, because she like freaks out and does her whole voice facial expression thing. That would, to me, would be the moment when you would break, or at least that I would break on set. Do you remember that day? Like trying to break?
I'm
trying not to break.
I'm remembering stuff just by us talking about it. I remember right before, you know, because Michelle's doing her thing, and, you know, they're setting up the lights, they're setting up everything, getting the cameras in situation. They're like, you know, Amy and I did a run through of where we're supposed to be, and then where Michelle's going to be. And then we were off to the side, and Michelle was over there. We met her very briefly, or talked to her very briefly. I can't remember. Amy might have met her before. But regardless, we spoke for a second, and then it was go time. It was like, okay, please take your marks and action. And right before, when Amy and I were to the side, and I'm kind of like in my head, like, like thinking, okay, this is what I'm supposed to say. And I remember Amy like had this moment where she kind of grabbed my shoulders and she was like, I mean, right? What? Right? What are we doing? And I was like, I know. And then action. And then we walked out and did it. And I want to say we only did it like 3 times. And then that was it. And it was like, everybody have a great day. That was awesome.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
remember Amy had a moment of like, what? And I'm like, I know. And then we went in.
Like,
It was
I can't believe
cool.
we're doing this. Yes. Oh my gosh. And so,
It was exactly, it was
go ahead.
that. Yeah. No. What you said, I can't believe we're doing this. It was like a moment of like, even we were all in the same bandwidth of like, wow,
Yes.
this is.
So it really wasn't acting on Amy's part, I feel, when Leslie's like, you are from Chicago, so you like it. Like going crazy about it.
It was, it was just a really neat moment. Yeah, she was. It's funny. I mean, it's a funny scene,
Yes.
and like, an actor has a reel that your team sends people to whatever, hopefully get you more work. And on my reel is that scene
As it should be.
where it's like, well, think about it. And then I walk off. It was so,
oh my God.
Fun.
And then she puts her
And then
head
she
against
just
the
kind
wall.
of puts her head, yeah.
And just like chuckles to
That's
herself and kind of maniacally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I just also like, that's one of the things that I love about parks too, because the way that they intertwined the parks in real life and the developments and government in real life, what Michelle Obama was doing was such a huge game changer. When we did a breakdown on her, I mean, I don't think people really understand how influential she was in the park system, but also how influential she was with like the childhood obesity rate and school nutrition programs and things like that. Getting out and hiking, like she says in the show. So I just, that part I think is doubly layered for me, because not only is it one of Amy Poehler's like best performances ever, it's just like what the show does best is create this imaginary world that is based in truth and is really just so well done and well written.
Yeah. And everybody was kind. Like, I haven't seen or spoken with Nick Offerman since, but I'm like, man, I would hang out with that dude. He was just so.
He's cool too. Use that word again.
He was just so awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, he was so awesome. Very nice guy.
Oh, so cute. Do you remember also having the scenes with, there was 2 other guest stars. You introduce Amy or Leslie to 2 guest stars at lunch. And it's like Liam Bonneville, the resident bad boy. And do you remember that scene at all? Because I'm wondering if that's in Miami or if that Miami was just Michelle Obama and you did the rest
remember
in LA.
the resident. I remember that description. This is the resident bad boy.
Yeah, and
weren't
like
they at a picnic table? And we were they at a pic? Were they?
They were at like a restaurant.
Yeah,
they were sitting and eating. They were like at a restaurant. It was outside, and you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, because that was your line where you were like, you're treating these people like, famous celebrities, but they could be your colleagues. And I was wondering if that was in Miami too, or if that was in LA. Do you remember?
No, that was in LA. Yeah,
okay.
That was in LA. The only thing that we shot in Miami was the hallway scene with Mrs. Obama. That was it.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And
it's funny that you said that line. I remember that line, the resident bad boy.
Well, you know what? He is so nice. I actually spoke to him. We didn't have an interview. But he sent in some voice memos. He was so nice too, and he actually told us that they did some like fucking around with the name tag, and he flipped his name tag upside down because he's the bad boy. And I was That's like, funny. You're such a nerdy bad boy, though.
That's funny.
It is funny.
I haven't watched any of this in over a decade. And so it's really fun for me to hear you saying this, because I'm like, oh yeah, the resident bad, it's just.
Dude, you got to watch it. Do you have Peacock? I'll give you my
We
login.
do have Peacock.
That's what it's all on.
We got Peacock. That's funny. I
Yeah,
think
'cause
I
it's
have
all
the
on there.
DVD right here in my desk. I think
Oh my God.
I have that episode, that
Amazing.
season. Yeah, wow, it's funny. It's like a
Well,
walk down memory lane.
I know. I think the more you talk about it, the more you remember it because it was so long ago. But speaking of picnic
Hands down.
tables, okay, so this was another question I had. So picnic table, you were on a picnic table with Nick Offerman no, maybe it wasn't Nick Offerman. It was Amy and Adam Scott.
Adam Scott.
Yes, at the Unity
Yep.
concert. And I was going to ask you if you had
Yep.
any memories about the Unity concert too, because from our research, it showed that they really made it seem like a full-on festival. And I'm just curious what your remembrance of that day was, if you were there for multiple days, kind of what the vibe was.
I can't remember if I was there for 1 or 2 days. I remember being really, really pumped because where they shot it was like a 7-minute drive from where I live.
Ugh, amazing.
And I remember being like, oh, sweet, because obviously driving in LA is just
mess.
Not a good time. It's a mess, traffic. So I was thrilled about that. I remember that at night they shot a lot of footage of the festival, like the concert and stuff. Again, going back to what I said earlier, I kind of show up, I do my thing, and then I'm like, have a good day, everybody. I didn't hang out. I didn't stay around for the concert, but I remember watching the episode and I was like, oh, sweet. They got some actual concert footage. When I was there, it was in the daytime, obviously, and they had a bunch of background actors walking around and stuff, but it wasn't the actual festival part. I think that was later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. So you didn't stick around. Okay, that's one of the questions I had.
I did not. Yeah. Again,
well,
we had a little.
I'm sure. I don't know if they would have said like, "Yeah, that's fine," or what they would have said. To be honest with you, so it's fine.
I can guarantee you they are a laid back, cool bunch, and they'd be like, absolutely hang out. That's another way that they're wired. They're just laid back. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Well, and especially
awesome.
For that episode, they
Great
had
experience.
like the most extras I think they've ever had for the show. It was like over 400 people. I mean, so you could have blended in.
See, you have all the factoids. Like
yes.
I should be asking you questions. You're the one who, you're like that 400 people they shot at night. I didn't know that, but there was a lot of people there, a whole lot of people.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, we are definitely like going deeper, I think, than any fan ever should. But I mean, we're not the only ones. It's crazy. These little factoids and like trivia moments I find on IMDb are so hilarious. That's how I found the Power Rangers thing. I was like, somebody
really?
found that out before me because it was on IMDb, like just on the trivia. That's a fun fact that I don't think a lot of people know about IMDb. If you scroll down, there's a little section that says trivia and quotes and soundtracks, and it's this whole thing. And I love BTS. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started this because I just love hearing behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, that's hilarious.
I got a BTS for you.
Yes.
On the Power Rangers subject.
Yeah.
I am friendly with an actress named Erin Cahill.
Okay.
I've done a movie with her, and we've just stayed in touch. She's a lovely person, and she was one of the first Power Rangers.
No. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
which
great.
I also haven't thought about it forever, but there's a lot of Power Ranger talk right now. And I was
know. Well, you brought Power Rangers back. Ranger. It was going to come up.
I did.
Wait,
keep
what's
forgetting
her name?
that I did that. Erin Cahill.
Erin Cahill.
Yeah, she was, I believe, the, I don't know, pink or red Power Ranger. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But she was a Power Ranger back in the day. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Okay. What I am going to ask too is a question I ask all the guests is I know that you haven't watched a ton of it currently or whatever, but I am wondering, who do you relate to the most on the show? Like, for example, I relate the most to Leslie because I feel, very organized, but sometimes chaotic, but I try to be really generous and try to just do the right thing. And my friend Maddie relates a lot to Anne, even though she has some Leslie tendencies. So for you, what would your character be out of the main cast? And it can't be Grant Larson.
I mean, I guess there would be parts of Nick Offerman's character and parts of Chris Pratt's character. just because I feel like we're in the same demographic and probably wired. I mean, I just remember the stuff that they find funny, I find funny. So
Yeah.
can I do a combo?
Yes.
Can I
Of
combo
Andy and
it?
Ron,
I know that
absolutely.
also feels like the easiest. It feels like the easiest answer, and I apologize, but just off the
No.
cuff, I would probably say those dudes, just because I feel like the very little time that I spent with them, they were laid back, kind people, and that's kind of like how I try to go through my day. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a
that
great
would be my
answer.
answer.
I love that. And do you remember? I mean, I meant to ask this earlier, but it's just coming back to me. Do you remember any of the improvs that you did or improv lines that made the cut, or do you just remember playing?
I remember one improv where, um, again, trying to remember exactly, but
I know.
I think when they being the cast, when they're confronting Grant Larson about, you know, not wanting me to take Leslie away, um, they kind of like would ad lib stuff like, well, can you do this? And hence, hence Chris's, can you bring Power Rangers back line? And I want to say that Nick said something about, can I change I'm butchering this, but can I change the weight of fishing,
Oh,
the weight where you get to keep the fish
yeah.
or something, like, can I change it from this many
Yeah, like
ounces
the
to this many ounces? So
regulations. Yeah.
the regulation, whatever. And I remember my line back that I just kind of threw out there. I was like, you fish? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you fly? And
That's
I
great.
remember they in true form, like Nick Offerman looked at me like, how dare I assume that he fly fishes? Like, that's so below him. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he didn't even say anything back. He just looked at me. And I remember going, sorry. And then I remember Chris said, he doesn't fly, he's a man. And then
Oh
it was
my
like
God.
just kind of off to the races.
I
So
love
stuff like
that.
that. But again, it all happened. I mean, true in the moment, improv, whatever. It's organic and it's happening fast, and there's zero premeditation involved. So it's
Right.
hard to remember
I
because it's
know.
not a planned thing. It just is something that, like, if I went back and rewatched a bunch of episodes, I'm sure I'd be like, oh yeah, that's funny. I remember that.
Right. Or like that wasn't in the script or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or just I remember the scene with Amy at the diner when she, you said the binders, like I
Hmm.
had completely forgotten about that. And she had all these binders, and I remember all that. And it was just funny. It's just funny circumstance, I mean, the scene where she has a black eye.
Yes.
And I don't remember the dialogue, but I just remember how freaking funny that was. And like,
Yeah.
just trying to keep a straight face, and just trying to get through the scene without cracking up. Like that
Totally.
was kind of my goal, and keeping it, you know, real to the moment and
Yeah, well, and the
situation.
way that
But
they stretched it out too, to have you like be able to come back so often and then create the chemistry in order to improv and in order to have that kind of relationship is always nice. Because a lot of times
yeah,
with improv, especially on these shows, like you don't know the people because a lot of times you're just there for one day. So you just kind of have to
yeah,
roll with whatever chemistry you have. And a lot of times, if you have an improv background, you're really good at that. But the gift of being there for so long, or not so long, but like, long enough, longer than one episode is really nice. But that black eye episode, you're right, was hilarious. And that was where she had the big necklace too to try to distract you. But again, going back to the length of how long
that's right.
the length of how long you were on, I think that episode in particular was like, I need an answer. And you were like, I've given you time, you've asked all your questions, like I
Yeah,
need an answer at this
yeah,
point. And she was like, okay, I'll think about it.
yeah. The neat, what I remember vividly is just continuously getting a phone call to come back. And that was it was just phenomenal. And, a majority of the time I was shooting, since there were so many cameras, they have all these different angles that they can edit and cut to and stuff. So it wasn't like other experiences that I had on set where you're there for freaking hours and hours and hours. You see the sun come up, you see the sun go down. This was not the case. I remember parking and then coming back to my car and like, was that 2 hours? And being done and having the whole day and not even knowing what I'm going to do with the day because, my kid's in preschool. I don't need to pick her up until so-and-so. And my wife is like, see you later tonight because, I'm working and that's just the norm. You're gone all day. And I just remember moments like that where I'm like, man, they got it. Like, it's seamless.
2 hours.
And that was that. I mean, maybe it was 3, maybe it was 4,
No,
but I just remember it being super duper duper quick.
Less than 6.
I'd show up. Oh, 100%. I was in hair and makeup. They put me in wardrobe. Do I need to shave? No, you're good. I'd go out. We'd shoot it. You don't even know what, like, that was also the most freeing thing for me because even though you don't want to be aware of where the camera is, you have to be aware of where the camera is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For the light and whatever, and you're not blocking anybody. But with that experience, I had zero light. I mean, it was 100% just talking and focused on the other person, which is what it should be. But again, I was completely oblivious to where cameras and it was really cool. It was awesome. I loved it. I have nothing but good memories looking back at it.
Do you feel like that helped you stay more in the moment, like more in the present, to not know where the cameras are? Because I could imagine like knowing where the cameras are, you're like, okay, I'm on camera. But with like that mockumentary style, it might seem a little bit more real. I know we talked about that kind of, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that look, you're going to be aware of.
That's true.
The camera.
You're on set.
You know what I mean? You're on set, and you know that you're saying what the writers wrote, and ultimately the writers are the funny ones, right? Like, I mean, the actors are funny, but they're saying the lines that are funny because the writers wrote them. You know, so you're privy to all that information, but it just was a different vibe.
Yeah,
maybe that's the best way to say it. Like, I'm aware that there are cameras there, but I'm not worried about them. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Totally.
Because when you're doing a multicam or you're doing or one camera, especially, like, there's so much time goes into the camera setup and the lighting, and you have to be where you're supposed to be, or it doesn't work for the rest of the people involved, and there's so many people on set that are there to do their job, and you don't want to, at least the way I look at it is, I'm aware of other people and I don't want to be a hassle for them. Like, I want to do what I'm supposed to do, and then again, not to be a broken record, but say thank you, good stuff, and go home. And
now, I have heard from other people that Amy likes to rehearse her lines sometimes. Were you guys doing that at all, the scripted stuff? Do you remember?
I'm sure that we were, but I don't remember it necessarily like it happening a lot. You know what I mean? I'm sure
your stuff was shorter, but still.
Well, it's just also, I feel like, we probably said our lines but I don't remember it being like a necessarily like a rehearsal, if you will.
Totally.
Most of the time with my part, like, they had already been shooting for a couple hours, and then they had gotten to my scene, and then we shoot it, and then it was a very well-oiled machine,
Absolutely.
Or I'd be first up, or I shouldn't say but the scene I was in is first up, and then you do it, and that's when you go home and you have the whole day. Like, it was phenomenal.
Totally. Yeah. I love hearing when people on set, like, of my favorite TV shows, like, want to run lines, or like from the guest stars that I've talked to on this show, just because it's like, I don't know, in my head, it's like, back to they're all humans too. We're all just people. And I'm like, oh, that's so
Yeah.
nice to just be like, hey, you want to come run lines? Like, even though I'm the
and
lead
it
and
makes
I'm
you
the
feel,
star, like, let's just run lines. I'm a normal
it
person
makes
too.
you feel, it makes you feel also like you're part of a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah,
Like you
absolutely.
are a part of that. You're a cog in the wheel. You're a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with a lot of actors that love to rehearse, and I'm always for it. And then I've worked with people who you don't even talk to. You show up on set, you say the written word, and then they turn around and walk
You're done.
away. Or on your close up, they have their stand-in stand there, and you're talking to. So
Isn't that crazy? I've heard that before. It's so wild.
Yeah, I've had that happen many times where you're like,
I'm not really
that's jacked
acting
up.
with the person. We're not having a connection at all. It's like I might as well
No.
just send in my audition tape and you can use that for your footage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, wild. Oh my gosh. Okay,
It's funny with the audition. Oh,
No,
go ahead.
No, you go. It's funny
Well,
with
you
the
just said
audition.
audition tape. You just said audition tape, and I was actually talking to a couple of friends about this. I think like a couple of days ago. Um, a director friend of mine, my son, loves to skateboard, and I've gotten back into it. So we go to the skate park and skate together, and it's super fun. One of the
Fun.
other dads that goes is a director, and we were just kind of having a conversation, and we were talking about like the self tapes and how there's no more in person auditions, or at least for me, it's been very rare. And he brought something up that I never really thought about, where he was like, it's hard for me as a director because these self tapes come in and they're, whoever we decide to get has done a great job. Hence, that's why they get the role. However, on the day when they're filming, when they say action, and the person does the exact same thing that they did on the self tape, if the director's like, "That was great, but let's try it like this," 9 times out of 10 they can't because they have not been working in the moment,
And they're not
right?
used to getting
Like that's
direction. Yeah.
the self tape. You have the luxury of, if you want, you can do 150 takes and then pick the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And the director doesn't necessarily know that. So when you're in person and you're auditioning and the casting director's like, "That was great, try it like this," you try it like that, and it's a give and take.
Yeah.
Right. And with the self tapes and all that stuff, and again, this is just my opinion, but I agree with the director friend of mine. It's like it's losing
The
for lack
craft
of
a
a better
little
word,
bit.
humanity of it all. Well, the humanity of just
Yeah,
like
that too.
of having a conversation with another person,
Mm-hmm.
and not being in your head. Like
Absolutely.
that's the part, right? Like being open to making it life and not a mannequin,
Totally.
just
I know. And like
robot or
feeding off
something.
of people's energies is such a huge part of the job. And like you said, collaboration.
It's what you do all day, every day when you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You're feeding off the other person. You're having a conversation.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, so I'm an actor too, and that's the thing that I've definitely, in all my classes, they've said this, but I've been trying to take it into account as well, whether it's voiceover, commercial, TV, film, whatever, like to not do more than 3 takes because you just don't. It doesn't change. Like you think you're doing it differently because you're like, I'll just on the 4th take it'll be a little different. It's not. It's just like you and you're again, like you said, you're so in your head, and also to just kind of practice that what the audition process is actually like instead of like I can make it perfect, because that's not real either.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And 9 times out of 10, when you're on set, I mean, you have to be available and go with the flow. It's not, you're not in your room with the iPhones on a tripod in front of you. Like it's not a necessarily 100% controlled environment, which is what makes it exciting. It's a collaborative art form. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things, and a lot of at all times, and you have to be, again, broken record, but you have to be open to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
What were you going to ask me? You had one last question.
Oh yeah, I have one last question. Okay, so I saw that you were in 2 episodes of The Comeback, not the most recent one, but The Comeback, and I was wondering, I didn't actually see your episodes because I just saw this before we got on, but I'm curious how that was and if you remember your experience. Did you get to work with Lisa Kudrow? Tell me. Uh-oh.
I love that you know all this stuff. It's so challenging for me because I'm like,
You don't remember, do you?
Dang it. I do know. So my wife and I are friends with Dan Bukatinsky.
Okay.
My wife has known him for years, and we're actually pretty friendly with him. My wife had a cooking show on Food Network a few years back, and Dan did an episode of it, and we've known him forever. And Dan, when via Instagram, when he posted about the comebacks coming back and da da da, I just replied back. I was like, dude, congratulations! This is amazing, man! Like, so cool. And he was like, he responded back something like, yeah, you will always be a part of its history or something. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, cool.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, no. And then he said my character name or something, which I think was, if I remember correctly, it was Mike from Dan's reply to the Instagram message or something. So I don't remember doing it. I remember auditioning for it. I do remember auditioning for it because it was one of my very, 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 very first auditions. And I remember going in to the audition and Dan, before I knew Dan, because I don't know if I was even dating my wife at the time. I think I don't remember. Anyway, I remember Dan was behind the desk. Lisa was there, and the producers and whatever, director and stuff. And I remember being like the moment I told you about before the elevators opened, right? Where I had been doing stuff for years before that. This was one of my first, so it was like nervous times 100. I remember wondering if they could hear my heart. I was so nervous because I was doing it in front of Lisa Kudrow, and I was just like, what?
Crazy.
And I think I remember that more than actually acting. I remember there was something like I remember there was a file cabinet in the scene or something. Like, I just remember, I don't know if there's,
I'll have to go back.
Have you seen footage of it? I don't know if I've ever even seen
I
it.
haven't watched it, yeah, because I just saw it before I got on with you. I was like, oh my God, you were on The Comeback. Because my thing.
That was like,
it was a while
10
ago.
years before Parks and Rec. I mean, that was like 20 years ago.
And watching it,
crazy.
Lisa is so good. Oh my God. But watching it is heartbreaking sometimes because the way that dude treats her, but like she wrote it that way. And there's all these jokes that she says too, where she's always like, first of all, people just didn't really get it. Execs didn't get it, whatever. But secondly, people would always kind of ask her, like, I think it was Conan, because her and Conan are friends. And I've listened to them on each other's podcasts or on his podcast. But Conan was like, who's like making you say this stuff? Like, who's writing this? And she's like, me. Like, I did that. But it's because like they're like, it's so awkward. A lot of it's very cringe. Like, but this was like a different kind of cringe than The Office, but in the same kind of vein. And so I didn't stick with it. But again, I started watching that so long ago, and so I really need to watch it again. But I just saw it on IMDb, and I was like, oh my God, because I'm a huge Friends fan, as most of us are. But I love Lisa Kudrow very much.
Yeah, I remember. I think that it has been 21 years since the second season of The Comeback, and like it's been like the longest in between of a show's return or something, like 21 years or something. Totally bonkers.
I know, it's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny though that you just.
This is fun. What? Tell me what else Tell me what else I've done. I don't remember.
Well, you've done a lot of procedurals, a lot of like CSI stuff and NCIS, all that kind of stuff.
I have done a lot of CSI. I'm a tall guy, and I think a lot of the times people just find that if you're taller, you can play more menacing, I guess.
Interesting.
I don't
Okay.
know. So I feel like a lot of the CSIs and I did Grey's Anatomy last year,
Yeah.
and play a bad guy, which is always fun
Yeah.
playing a bad guy. So I don't feel like I'm a bad guy. I feel like I'm a
Yeah.
pretty nice guy. So you
It's
get
always
to,
nice.
you know, do stuff
And be different from your normal
and
everyday.
be different. Yeah.
Okay, so
Those
okay, is there
CSIs,
anything that
man.
we can promote for you or talk about for you? Like, is your paintings out? Are your paintings out right now? Are you selling them? Is there a web? You said there's a website.
There is a website. Yeah, my website's just my name, bradysmith.com.
Okay, I'll post it in the show notes.
Thank you. And then my Instagram obviously is always fun for me if you
Peruse.
throw that in there. But yeah, no, the books. I mean, the books are
Oh
super.
yeah,
The books are super important. I feel like since all the writer
yeah.
strikes and all the stuff, but like this is a young reader graphic novel. It's 203 pages long, and it's like I
Oh
wrote and illustrated it, and
my god,
it literally just came out. Like
that's
it's
amazing.
it's my eighth book since
What's it called?
2019. So it's a young reader graphic novel series. This is book two. Book one is Maxwell Dark Nightmare Hunter. This is Maxwell Dark Bad Blood, and basically it. My wife and I's son a few years back was having horrible night terrors, like horrible night terrors,
Mm.
and I came up with a character, basically a 12-year-old boy who has the ability to travel into other kids' nightmares and help them fight what's scaring them.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
And that's the book series. So yeah, we're pitching it.
Wow.
See what happens. Pitching it as a show. So yeah.
Oh my god. Or do you think animated or action?
Uh, I think that it could work both ways. I have another show. I have another young reader graphic novel series called Louie and Bear in the Land of Anything Goes, and it's skewed for a little bit younger audience, and we're trying to make that a show as well. That's definitely animated. Maxwell Dark, I feel like could
Okay.
be either, especially with
Okay.
the popularity of like Stranger Things and Wednesday and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
the entertainment business right now is very, very uh, just I want to say fragile and funky. It's just a weird,
Mhm.
weird time with all the streaming. So it's weird. It's like there's less. I can only speak for myself, but there's less opportunity. So my wife just did a show that was picked up. It comes on later this year on Disney Plus. Um,
Hmm.
but that was shot in Vancouver. You know, um,
Yeah.
so my point is that I'm not very good at sitting still. And again, I got my degree in fine art.
Mhm.
So I am just incredibly grateful that even when there is slow down times, as in the showbiz acting universe, that I am incredibly creatively fulfilled doing these books. I mean, it's the books are joyful, but the hardest freaking thing. I mean, it's like more work than you can shake a stick at. But I'm grateful for it. But it's like I'm writing a book, but not only writing a 200-page book, I'm
Yeah, it's
drawing
long.
it as well. It's like
And the
so.
amount
I'm
of detail that goes into graphic novels is
telling you,
insane.
I feel so lucky to be able to do it. I really do because I feel like I'd go bonkers if I didn't. Waiting, I joke that the reason I started doing books is because I'm just not good at waiting for you know phone calls from agents or
Yeah.
managers and stuff. Like I want
Yep.
to feel busy and I want to feel like I'm being creative on a daily basis. So it's painting
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
writing and drawing and all that. Yeah,
Yeah. So do you have like an author, a writer's agent as well, and a publisher and all that kind of stuff too?
I do. I am repped
Okay,
at
great.
UTA with
That's
by
awesome.
literary, and then all of my books, every one of the books is published by Penguin.
Oh my gosh, that is congratulations. That is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's like what I've been doing for, my whole life, drawing and stuff. But the
Yeah.
first book I think came out 2019. So yeah, I've been doing it since then. My wife
That's
and I were on a
awesome.
show called Alexa and Katie on Netflix. My wife was one of the series regulars. I did, I think, 8 episodes, and I remember
Mm.
working on the book. The only reason I brought that up is because that's what that's how long ago it was that I did the first book. Yeah.
That's so wild. Oh my gosh. Well, I know a lot of people with kids, so listen, there is an audience for it. And that's so sweet and so cool. Has your son read them? Like, have you read them to him, about his story or how it was inspired?
Well, he likes to take ownership and brag about it, but like with anything, your kids will humble you very quickly. So, he's like, yeah, whatever.
Like,
My
whatever,
dad wrote a
man.
book.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
pretty much.
I don't even care.
I had some. This is a true story and short, and sweet, I promise. But
No.
I did some being a guy that likes to ride skateboardings and the culture and all that. I love Vans. Vans are my favorite shoe. I love them. So I did some Vans last year. I did a pair of lace ups and a pair of slip ons with my art on them. They were released. Super cool moment for me. I
Mm-hmm.
did some Vans, and I remember Vans sent me bunch of the shoes for my family, my wife, my daughter, my son, in their size. And I remember opening the box and I'm like, check them out. And my daughter, I quote, looks at them and goes, I don't wear Vans. Okay. And then my son looks at him and goes, they don't come in high top. And I'm like,
Oh
wow,
my God.
wow, 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 wow. So they keep me in check is my point.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Have you seen Tina Fey's talking about her kids where she relates it to having like an office crush where you'll go up to your kids' room and be like, "Hey, so like I think we're going to have like dinner later maybe? Like if you want to come, it's totally fine. If not, it's like
That's
not a big deal. It's
yeah,
like whatever. But
that's
like it'd be
funny.
really cool."
That's funny.
It's such a good relation
Yeah.
uh you
It's
know.
definitely more like that with our soon to be 16-year-old daughter for sure.
Maybe it's more of a
Yeah.
teenager thing.
Yeah. The
Yes.
10-year-old's like, I'm hungry. What are we having?
Yeah.
Boy.
Love that. Were you about
Yeah.
to say something about CSI, by the way? I feel like I cut you off.
No, I think, no, no, no. I was just saying the CSIs, like those are the gifts that keep on kind of giving. I mean, they just are,
Mm.
they continue. There's so many of them, and I feel like I've done, I mean, I don't even know. I've done most of them. As a guest star, you show up. You're either the killer or you were killed, or you were mistaken for the killer and not the killer. But those are shows that are network TV and they're residuals, so they're it's a blessing.
Helpful.
Same with Grey's Anatomy. Like I've never watched Grey's Anatomy. It's just not my. It's just not
Not your
my
jam.
thing. And I know a lot of
Well,
people
listen, you've got
love
a
that
lot of
show.
seasons to catch up on, buddy.
That's the thing. It's the gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Like it truly. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I think I did it last year, and I think that was season 22 or something bonkers.
Nuts.
It's
Wild.
and it all shoots in LA, so it's like really good for
That's
our
awesome.
our city, and the
Mm-hmm.
wardrobe people, the gaffers. I mean, everybody that's involved. It's like a great job for them. So I'm just always
Yeah.
I'm the way I'm wired is I want people to work and I want it to be a a a good thing. I'm not one
Mm-hmm.
of those. I know some actors that are like, damn it, I can't believe you got that. I totally was going after that. I've never been like that. I've been like, dude, that's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
try to
If
be
there's room
supportive.
for you, there's room for me, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. I
totally.
mean, ultimately, it's anybody that is going to put themselves out there and try to make it as an artist, I have complete. I'm pulling for them. You know.
Yeah, totally. Unless they're a terrible person, then you're just like, you don't need this. I do.
Well, and
No,
I
I'm
also
kidding.
feel like, unfortunately, in this business, a lot of the times the terrible people continue to work. And that's
Fail
my
upwards.
only beef, man. I'm like, God,
Yeah.
you just, but it's the way.
We're holding down the fort over here, okay?
We are.
We're
We're
trying.
fighting the good fight. We're fighting the good
Yes,
fight.
and I think that's necessary. And Amy Poehler and Mike Schur are coming out with a new show called Dig. I don't know if you've heard of it. It has not come out yet, but the reason I'm bringing that up is just because there are people that are not assholes and that are just like doing amazing.
Yeah.
I love Amy's podcast, Good Hang. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's so good. And
I've
she has on a lot
I've
of
seen
Parks people,
clips of
too.
it on Instagram. I've seen clips. Yeah.
Yes. She just interviewed Nick Offerman, who's in an Apple TV show where he plays like a retired MMA fighter or whatever, which I haven't watched yet, but it's a good episode.
I saw him playing the ukulele on the clip
Yes, that's exactly right. He's good. He's so good. It's
awesome.
really fun. And he wrote that song, and because he goes on tour with Megan Mullally, his wife, sometimes, and they like open for each other, or they'll have their own show, and they do like, kind of a variety show with, music and dialogue, monologues, whatever. So yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well,
I just
Holly,
appreciate you so much.
I feel like I got
so
a chance to walk down memory lane with you. I mean, it's been super, super fun to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much. We'll tag you in all the show notes and get you on Instagram and everything. I really, really appreciate your time. And Thank you for being our Grant Larson.
You're very welcome. All right, Holly. Well, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Night.
You too.
Yes, you too. See you soon.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.